Hey everybody, it's Rachel with Rachel Q Stitches and welcome to my channel. Today I am going to be talking a little bit about a quilt that I started. I shouldn't say a quilt. I don't know if this is going to end up being a quilt or just a bunch of blocks. I'd like it to be a quilt, but we'll see. So I started making these little blocks and I don't know if you'll see on the title that they're Terry Rowland blocks. But I'm going to tell you a little backstory. So I have this bag right here. You see this? All whites. And that was, I believe, the last snippets bag that I got from Cotton Cuts. Now, if you've been here for a while, you'll know that I got the snippets bags for probably about a year. And, a lot of people were like, what do you do with that small of things? I could never work with that. And I get it. I like doing a little bit of improv quilting and piecing. So little pieces like that, I like them. I really like using them. But I tried a couple of different things, and usually, when I get a snippet bag, I have some videos that talk about what I do. But these were strips that were not quite 1.5 inches. And so I am gathering fabrics for a postage stamp quilt, which is essentially 1.5 inch squares. I will be strip piecing that. I will not be... I already did a quilt that had 1.5 inch squares, so I'm not up to that challenge again. I did that when I was younger. I actually did it when I had 2 small children, so I could probably do one now and not have a problem with it. But anyway, so I have this bag, and they're not quite 1.5 inches, and I was kind of wondering what I was going to do with them. Like I said, I made a wonky log cabin block, which I was okay with, but I wasn't really overly fond with how they came out. So this bag just kind of languished along with all of the not quite 1.5 inch strips from all the other colors from the snippets bags. This one just so happens, I don't know if I requested it or what, but it just so happened to have been all basically low volume prints. So anyway, so if you've heard of a Terry Rowland quilt, the first time I heard of it, it was through Kate at the Last Homely House. She was making one. And so I immediately went to the Terry Rowland's video, and I'll link all this down below, and watch Terry make hers. And so I always kind of had it in the back of my mind that I wanted to make one of these quilts. Well, I never did, because I was like, it never occurred to me. Well, I shouldn't say it never occurred to me. Terry's blocks, I'll just say right now, are bigger than mine. So it never occurred to me to use these strips because they were so small. So anyway, the other day I was doing something in my sewing room, and I was moving some stuff around, and I moved this bag, and I'm like, what am I going to do with this bag? I can't throw away good fabric. You know what I'm saying? And so I went and I sat down, and I was working on one of my Quilt As You Go hexagons, and turned on YouTube, and Adam Sews, I believe that's the name of his channel. I will link him down below. Adam Sews popped up. I had never watched him before, and it popped up, and somebody you might want to watch, and he was doing his Terry blocks. So I thought, okay, let me watch him. Well, listen, because I knew it was something he was, sew with me type of thing. So I knew he would be chatting a little bit more than demonstrating. And so I was listening to him, just talking about his Terry blocks and, different things like that. And it hit me. This bag, I could do some Terry blocks with this bag. So I went back in my sewing room when I finished my hexagon, and when Adam finished with his video, and I pulled out all of my strips that were not quite 1.5 inches, and I started cutting the colors into squares. Now, if you know Terry's blocks, they're all bright colors. She did color wash, so she might have a purple center with like a yellow outside. Very, very bright and colorful. Well, I decided to do something a little different. So I pulled out, not all of them, just a bunch, a couple, and I started cutting the prints like this. I was not exact because, like I said, these things are not, and if you watch Terry's tutorial, she's not exact. I mean, she gives measurements if you want to be exact, but I kind of like the non-exactness of it. So I cut a bunch of them like this right here. Now, I did try strip piecing, and it went fast, but it was not as fun. So I said, nope, I'm going to go back to piecing them individually. So here you go. This is my little squares that I cut. They're roughly 1 by 1, you know, just kind of that size. I was not, like I said, I was not exact in how I cut them. And then I cut some little white squares, the same-ish size, to make sure they would fit on the edges. So then I sewed them together, and this is what I did, the first one. Okay, and then I cut some strips that were about this length right here, and I made this. Okay, so this is my terry block, but here's the problem. These were not consistent in their size because they are anywhere from 1 inch to 1.5-ish strips. So they're not consistent in their size. Anything 1.5 is getting stuck in my postage stamp. So these were less than. So they weren't quite 3 inches all the way around. So I cut mine down to 2.5 inches. Look how cute. Oh, this one's a little crooked. No, it's not. It just looks crooked on the camera. But there it is. Look at these. I have a bunch of them. I'm just going to show y'all a couple. So you see how they are? Like this one's a little off. But I like that. I like that it's not perfectly centered. Look at that. And here was a little... And I'm not worried about if my low volumes are the same. You're not going to tell once it's all together. Look at this one. Because I'm not doing mine color wash style, so it doesn't matter. And even Terry kind of substituted a couple of hers. This one, now this one's interesting. This one was not even big enough for 2.5, so I had to add this little strip onto it. So that was fun. So there it is. So I am just, you know, when I get a couple of minutes, I have a bunch of them cut. And I thought I would sit down and just tell y'all what I'm doing. And I am going to go through my strips one day and really pick them out because I want to start sewing blocks together because I don't want to end up with however many thousands of these I need to make a decent sized quilt and have to sew them all together at once. So I do want to sew them into some bigger blocks. But anyway, so that's what I'm making. That's my terry block. I am excited about this. They're teeny. They're little bitty blocks. They're 2.5 inches. So, yeah, so I have my little table right here. This is a new setup for me when I sew. I really wanted something like this, but I have my big cutting table over there, but it was the getting up and you know how it is. And so my sewing machine's right here. These are some quilts that I made. I got videos on each of these if you want to watch those. And, but I got a little setup. So I got my little rotating mat here. I got that in a sew sampler box. I also got this in a sew sampler box. So this is right here. So this is my little setup where I just sew a bunch like this all at once. And then I sew a bunch like this all at once. And then I trim them. And it's been so much fun. So much fun. So if you haven't made a terry block or you haven't thought about this, is perfect for scraps. I mean, if you have some scraps and you're like, they're not quite big enough for anything. Like I said, these finish at 2.5 inches. Isn't that great? I love them. I love these little blocks. Anyway, that's all I have. I'm not doing an update video, as you can tell, because it's Friday, and I usually do my update videos on Tuesday-ish. If you think about it, my brother's been in the hospital. He was in the hospital about 2 years ago. I don't know if y'all remember that or not, but he's had a little setback. So just if you can think about it, say a prayer for him. He's I'm not gonna say he's doing better. He had surgery, which fixed the problem, but you know how it is after surgery, especially at his age. You know, I'm calling him his age. He's not that old. He's only 18 months older than me, but you know, his health is not the best. It's not stellar. And so he could use your prayers. So anyway, so that's all I have for you guys. Hopefully I'll be able to do an update video Tuesday, show you what I've been working on, what I worked on during his surgery. His surgery was Monday. And so I worked on a new project, because I need a new one. And anyway, I hope to see you guys next week. Lord willing, happy stitching, everybody. Bye-bye.